Hello! So today I'd like to have a chat to you about painting and specifically about abstract painting. Don't switch off if you think abstract painting's not for you, because I'd like to explain to you why I think abstract painting's really good for your art skills. So many years ago when I started painting, I did very careful and precise botanical illustration flower paintings, and I loved doing those. But when I went to college, I went as the only mature student in with a class full of youngsters, and I'd walk down the corridors and see these big and crazy paintings, and I thought, perhaps I'll give that a go. And I bought some huge canvases, and in doing that, I absolutely liberated my brush skills and my painting skills. And I've never looked back from that. So the loose, free and easy flow that I feel I have now is because I had to go abstract painting. So when you paint a subject, painting is hard and there's a lot to think about in your head. And when you paint a subject, you're concentrating on getting that subject right. And that can mean you don't really think about your actual painting and your brush marks and your colours and those things, because you're trying to portray a flower or a landscape. So when we take the subject out of the equation, it gives us a chance to focus in on one or two other things. So one of the first ones is brush strokes. And so the first thing we do in the abstract painting is we practice brush strokes. So I'm just going to show you here a few little things of what we do. And I've just done a little background. And you'll see that if you paint in acrylics, you can completely cover what you've done underneath. So therefore, there's no fear factor. Picasso said it took him 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. And the great thing about acrylics, as I say, is if you have a look here, we can use our yellow, and if we do a couple of layers, you would never know what was underneath. So we can use our brush in all sorts of ways. It might be that you're used to painting skirting boards. We've all done a bit of that, and it's just that straightforward back and forward movement. So what we want to do is we want to learn interesting things like moving the brush with a twist to make that sort of mark, or layering paint and stroking it. If we apply paint in a gentle Zen-like fashion, we get a nice gentle mark. If we apply paint in a slightly frenetic way, we get a mark full of energy and movement. So it's really good to kind of think about all those things, what effect you want. But you can see from this bit I've done here how you can just build up these layers of paint. And we learn to use the brush in all sorts of ways. Wet and dry brush, where you just stroke and you just barely hit the surface and you can build those colours up. It's almost a bit like Harris tweed. Or you can cover completely. And you really can just play, because it doesn't matter, you're just building up layers. And that's one thing we really learn. We learn about building up layers. So you can practice with lots of small ones. You might get an idea of just a bit of a shape. And I just did this slightly squidgy shape here. And then I did these paintings with just building up on this squidgy shape. And I put these black lines in. And even if you're just doing something simple like a line, if you make just a dot like that, it's a bit scrappy. and just learning to make a bit of a double movement, and you can just make a much nicer shape. So just by doing a little movement rather than that, you can make the shape you want. You can obviously make it bigger or smaller. With these watercolour brushes and inks, you can make all sorts of interesting lines. If you use the brush face down or you squidge the brush, just learning and taking the time to learn how to use your brushes. You'll never look back from that. You'll never look back from that knowledge, because a lot of the time, if we're painting a subject, we kind of filling in, and instead of sort of thinking about the marks we're making. But abstracts are put together by marks. Many years ago, somebody said to me, "What does an abstract mean?" And I thought, well, I've got to come up with an explanation. And so for me, I would describe a painting with a subject as like a song with words. An abstract is like music, and it tells you everything it needs to tell you. It's that simple. You like it or you don't. You like Dr. Zhivago or Motorhead, whatever appeals to you. There's no right or wrong. We don't have to understand it. We just have to like it or not like it. But how it's created, we have to focus more on colours. So we really have a good think about colours on the abstract course. And I have, for example, these lovely colour swatches, and you might have a browse through there, and that might spark something off for you. And you might think, oh, well, you know, you can put together some colour combinations that you wouldn't normally use, and you might think, oh, yes, I might be able to do something with that. Or you can browse the books I've got. I've got lots and lots of lovely books on abstract painting and art. This is Howard Hodgkin. And this is Kurt Jackson, not strictly abstract, but sort of abstracted landscapes. And Kandinsky, who was a famous abstract artist. So I've got loads of books, and you can just have a wander through, and something just like that shape or something might inspire you. You can then have a play and do lots of small little sketches, or you can work on some wallpaper and we practice all different marks, and then you build up to some small pictures. And if you want to create a big, huge canvas, you can, or you can paint like 6 little ones. It doesn't matter. On any of the abstract courses, you can do whatever you want. The advantage of doing, say, 6 little ones, if you don't feel confident, is you start to see little subtle changes and how you like that one better or not better. And if you find one you especially like, you might take that on to be a big painting. So we really start to think about the application of paint, how to use paint, how to use brush marks, the layering of colours, going back to here. If we just look, and you can see all these lovely subtle colour layers that you can get. And we have lots of inspiration of shapes to base your paintings around. So don't worry and think, oh, I've got no idea what to do. You know, there's lots of help all along the way. So it's really just about warming up and thinking about your actual painting, how you are actually applying the paint and the colours that you're using and the shapes you're using. And that will really help you in all your painting. So I hope you feel inspired to come and join us on an abstract course. And do give me a ring if you've got any questions. Thank you for listening. Bye.